You know, it's a serious topic when I'm sitting down. Hey guys, it's Frankie here, and today we're talking student loans. And it's a topic I've avoided for some time because, well, honestly, it's the biggest financial stress I have in my life. And I want to talk about this topic with full transparency, partly to just sort of document where I'm at with my journey in paying mine off, but also because I think this is going to be super relevant to see sort of my situation for anyone that's either just about to start college and is exploring all their financial options there, anyone in the middle of college or the middle of grad school where you still have some really big decisions that could impact you for 10, 20, 30 years, who knows? And then obviously anyone that's in the exact same position as me who's a millennial with 5 figures, heck, even 6 figures of debt that you're struggling to figure out how you're ever gonna get your head around paying these things off. The reason I'm talking about this in particular today is because I actually stumbled upon a video this morning I recorded from the computer, so it's not the best quality, but it was a phone call I made to Nelnet. I think it was something like 4 or 5 months ago back in April of 2019. Today we call Nelnet. I don't mean to be so somber, but this is the most stressful thing I think in my life, is owing around $85,000 from undergrad and grad school. And the reason I called them that day was because I had noticed that since applying for the income-driven payment plan, my rate was now going to go up from $330 to roughly $550. And I explained in the video that, yeah, my income went up a little, but not the same percentage, not even close.
Welcome to Nelnet, your student loan servicer.
Lower my monthly payment. Beg for forgiveness. Later, we talk about refinancing and if that makes sense for me, whether it's with your provider or separately. I'll talk about that at the end of the video with some real numbers we can crunch. And mainly, I just want to encourage you to do exactly what I did as we get started here, which is to pick up the phone and ask questions and be persistent. I think my phone call was 30 minutes or so, and she was extremely patient. First of all, some quick background on my situation and who I am. So I'm 34. I just turned 34 years old. I spent the last roughly year and a half getting out of all of my consumer debt. So I paid off all of my credit cards. I no longer have any kind of car payment. I rent, so I don't have a mortgage. I am not married and I don't have any kids, so no dependents.
Okay.
In fact, this is my only debt that I carry.
Okay, good deal.
So I've really done a good job educating myself on all things personal finance. I wrote a book about it called The Money Resolution. And my goal for 2019 is to actually save half of my income. So I'm currently maxing out my 401k, I'm maxing out my Roth IRA, and I'm maxing out my HSA. I also have my own personal IRA. I have other things like Acorns and Betterment. I also dedicated myself to building up an emergency fund. In a lot of ways, I'm doing a lot of things exactly right. There's one big thing I ignored during the last year and a half of working really hard on my finances, and that's my student loans. And that's because every time I thought about them, this was such a mountain of a problem that it just didn't feel like I was ever gonna make progress. I decided to tackle everything else. It's really time for me to think critically about my student loans, which brings me back to the phone call. Here's the numbers. This is what I took out. Here's what it's at. That's how much it's gone up. The only one that's come down at all is this one. All the others have gone up. This is the worst. Right here, I'll pause it. I had $84,000 and some change that my debt had grown to from $70,000. As I look at it today, and I'll put it on screen, it's 86.5. So why did it jump so much? You'll see more about the interest rates here in a minute in the video, so that's part of it. But actually, the biggest part of this was recently I went through a financial emergency, and in paying off a very large bill, I ended up taking advantage of a thing called forbearance. So it was literally 3 minutes and 3 clicks on the Nelnet website to ask for basically like forgiveness in the smallest sense. So for 2 months, I didn't have to pay my loan. Well, at $550 plus interest, you can imagine that that grew to, $1,200 or more. So a big part of that jump in the last 4 or 5 months is that forgiveness. So again, the main reason I called was to see if there was anything I could do about that minimum payment of $550. Now, I should start by saying this. Paying less is going to make less progress towards paying them off, but there was sticker shock of having to pay so much more every single month. $550, and that's the least I can pay. Is that true? So I called about that. My monthly minimum owed went up from $330 to $550, which is a really big increase. And tomorrow, I got the email saying that tomorrow is the first time I'll be auto debited. Why it went up 67%. My income did go up a little, but not 67%. So I'm just hoping you can help me understand why, and if there's anything I can do to keep that monthly payment closer to what I was paying before.
That is the correct amount based on your income and your family size.
And do it sounds like about the $550 monthly.
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Fine. Sucks, but okay. Is what it is. On to the next topic. Are these interest rates negotiable? I have called my credit card company before, and just like that, in a matter of minutes, I was able to, with no questions asked, get my interest rate lowered. Can you do that with student loans? Is that an option? Now, is there anything to do in terms of, because the biggest loan I have on there is something like $44,000 now from $34,000 originally. The interest on that one is the worst of all four. So that one's growing exponentially. Do I have any options in terms of bringing that interest down or anything I can do to... All right, so 0 for 2. I just start blabbing at this point, and I just want help, please. Is there anything you can offer me, Nelnet, to help me sleep tonight? And that brings me to the next part of this conversation. I have considered refinancing privately through a company like SoFi. Any of the graduate loans together to come up with a better rate, or do I have to do that externally? In which case, I know I lose all the privileges, around student loan forgiveness and all that. So finally, consolidation through Nelnet.
The thing is, it will consolidate, meaning combine your multiple federal education loans into one loan.
And in that case, would I still be eligible for benefits like the forgiveness program?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know. That might be a better option, because the minimum monthly I can handle if that's just, there's no other way around it, but it's the interest that's growing so aggressively that long term making the minimum is not a good solution.
I get it.
This actually was a big aha moment in this conversation. As you can see on the screen here, my rates range from high 4% to mid 7%, and my biggest rate is actually on my biggest loan.
Yeah. Because from what I see, your loans are accruing $15.60 a day.
$15.60 a day. Wow.
Yes, that's how much interest you're accruing. So let me send you some information to your email address.
Is that something that I'm able to just do like online, following instructions, or apply for?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
You sure can. So that maybe you can give them a call on Monday and throw some numbers at them and see if they can discuss with you the interest rates and payment plans with consolidated loans.
Okay.
Give them a call while you're trying to figure out if this is the best solution for you. But I'm from looking at your loans, it could be. It could very well be, because instead of having all these different interest rates, combined, you'll have one.
Now, if I were to do this privately through a company like SoFi, yes, I'd have a better rate. I'm more likely going to have a higher payment each month, but honestly, that's probably a good thing. But the reason I haven't done this is because by consolidating your federal loans privately, you're actually going to lose some really key benefits. So there are two main benefits here. One I just spoke about, which is forbearance. So you can ask for and they'll grant you forbearance, so you can skip without taking any damage to your credit a month or 2 months payment. The other huge benefit here is student loan forgiveness. Now, with forgiveness for your undergrad loans, when you start paying that loan back, if you do not miss a payment for 20 years, you're eligible to be forgiven and have that balance completely wiped out. Now, I decided to go to grad school. For grad school loans, and this is something I learned recently, it's actually 25 years. So I am much further away from that loan being forgiven than I am my undergrad loan. In terms of the loan forgiveness program, nothing I'm banking on, but I know it's definitely an option that's out there if I just continue making the minimums. My undergrad one on there it's like $15,000, and that's from, I think I took that out back in
April 13, 2009.
Yeah, okay, so I know that's 20 years to forgiveness, and so that one I'm less concerned with. It's the graduate ones, and if I read this right, the graduate forgiveness is different. It's 25 years. Is that right? For forgiveness? Okay. Now, one really cool thing is they have a calculator, and so you don't have to consolidate all of your loans into one. You could consolidate half of them, or in my case, just your graduate loans is what I was most interested in. And you can plug in which of your loans you're interested in consolidating, and it'll spit out new rates.
Okay, cool. It kind of sounds like my only option right now at this point.
When I did this, I was fairly let down. I plugged these numbers in, and it just didn't make sense with my rates in this particular case, even though she got me really excited about this potential opportunity.
Do you have any sense, like, if you had to ballpark, like, do you think this is a very small decrease in rate, or do you think it could be a significant, based on your experience, have you seen this come down 1-2%, or is it fractional?
Yes. Yep, I've seen it come down substantially if you consolidate and combine them.
Now, she mentioned this number of $15 a day, that even though when I was paying $330 a month, I actually wasn't impacting my principal balance at all. In fact, I wasn't even covering all of the interest on any given month. This was a crazy thing to hear from her when she said $15 a day are accruing in interest. You could certainly calculate it on your own if you really dig into the numbers. Is that principal balance coming down at all? In my case, it's not. Even paying $550, I'm making tiny gains. So at the end of the day, did anything positive come out of that phone call or any research since April? In terms of numbers, interest, my principal balance, no, not really. I wasn't able to negotiate any of those interest rates, which, it's worth a shot. My overall balance has gone up, partly because of the forbearance, but looking at the numbers, I think it would have remained just about flat anyway. But I did get something good out of this call, which was learning about consolidation. So I knew about my options externally. I wasn't super informed about my options internally. So it was worth going down that route to explore, and I hope that's something you think about as well. And again, at the end of the day, I picked up the phone on a Saturday. I made a phone call. I talked to a person. I asked a lot of questions, and I was persistent. And I was kind, make sure you do that. And I recommend you do the same. Have your questions written down ahead of time. Schedule some time where you're gonna do this, like at least 30 minutes, block it off, do it on a lunch if you need to. Now, one last thing I wanted to say is if you are in college or you're about to enter college and you've got your FAFSA done and they're making offers about how much you're eligible to receive in your loans, one big regret I have was accepting what they offered. So just know that number, you don't have to take it all. And it's really scary to think about, how am I gonna survive? I won't have a job or other income. But one of the biggest regrets I have was taking the maximum when I went into grad school, and I should have declined, half of that. And I would have found out a way to get by. And instead of paying 2x, 3x over the life of that loan, it's a big topic. And I know it's one that's scary to look at. So kudos for you. If you're doing your research right now and finding videos about a topic that is so challenging to get good information on. Unfortunately, this is a problem that affects millions and millions and millions. I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do. This is just a mountain that I am still really struggling to get my head around. It's rough. It's really rough. I just don't see an end in sight unless I go all in for several years. Should I do that? Should I go all in for the next few years? Let me know what you think in the comments below. So anyway, guys, that's just a super transparent look at sort of where I'm at financially with my student loans, my emotions behind some of the thinking, and I really hope that this was helpful or valuable to you no matter where you're at in your journey of either starting to apply for loans or pay your loans off. I hope you can drop a like and a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts about either my situation, your situation. Best of luck out there for those of you working on your loans as well. We can do this, we will. It is important to do your research, check your numbers, and come up with a plan, and that's something I am in the middle of right now. Take it easy, guys, and I will, as always, talk to you soon. Thanks.
So my 2019 will be even more increased, so that's my fear going forward, is this is going to start becoming $600-700 a month. Well, it's a good problem to have, to make more money, I guess, right?
Yeah, more money, no problem.
More money, more problem. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I will look into this first thing on Monday then.